Hello, good morning, good evening, everybody. I'm Vaidya Aditi Kulkarni. I would like to welcome you all to our GCAR Global uh, Global Webinar Research Series. Uh, Global Council for Ayurveda Research is an international non-profit organization based out of USA with its sister chapter in India by the name of Ayurveda Anusandhan Abhiyan Foundation, AAAF. Our mission is to encourage, educate, and facilitate basic clinical and interdisciplinary research in Ayurveda. Our vision is to promote and establish Ayurveda as an evidence-based health science globally. You can learn more about us at www.ayurvedaresearchusa.org. Please do consider joining us as a member, which will bring you access to all our resources. No nonprofit can operate and succeed without volunteers. So consider joining us as a volunteer, and we can place you in a variety of projects based on your skills and your interest. Once again, our website is www.ayurvedaresearchusa.org. Now, let me introduce our eminent speaker, Vaidya Aditi Mohan Kulkarni. She is BAMS, MD in Rasa Shastra, PhD, and also has done PG diploma in clinical research. She has been working as assistant professor in R.A. Poddar Medical College, Worli, Mumbai. She has 14 years of experience of UG and PG teaching in Rasa Shastra and Bheshajya Kalpana, and research methodology and statistics. She has been working as state licensing authority for Maharashtra state. In the field of clinical research, she worked as coordinator for the project Immunologic and Metabolic Effects of Panchakarma, sponsored by the Office of Principal Scientific Advisor, New Delhi. She is also a part of numerous research projects. In the field of drug research, she is working in Ayurvedic pharmaceutics, drug designing, preparation, standardization, analytical studies, etc. She has hands-on experience in preparation and standardization of various Ayurvedic medicines, including Rasaushadhis. She has experience in experimental research on Ayurvedic drugs. She has designed and initiated projects on Pimpli, bioavailability, Panchagavya, honey, bhasma, which are in the starting phases. In the domain of Ayurvedic medical writing, she has experience in various Ayurvedic project writings. She has experience in preparation of Ayurvedic protocols, designing CRF, case papers, reports, statistical analysis, etc. She started Ayur Lekhan for medical writing in Ayurveda. She is a part of Ethics Committee, working as Institutional Ethics Committee member of R.A. Poddar Medical College, Ayurved, and Sayan Ayurved Mahavidyalaya. She has multiple publications under her belt. Some of her publications are Antioxidant Activity of Suvarnaraj Vangeshwar, that was published in IMAZ in December 2013. She worked as editor of Manual Research Methodology published in August 2013 by the support of Prime Minister's Scientific Advisor Office. Immunologic and Metabolic Effects of Basti in Indian Journal of Medical Research, International Research in Obesity 2013. Effect of Pharmaceutical Processings on Metals, IJPPS October 2021, and she has also written one chapter on in the book Diabetology in Ayurveda in 2023. So I welcome you, Vaidya Aditi. You can take it from here.
Yes, thank you very much for that brief introduction, madam. I'm so happy to be here and to share my views on this topic. Actually, this topic has very much potential, but it was limited to India. Maybe probably some readers which are reading this article which is published on this topic previously. But this would be a great platform to reach to the people or who are serving Ayurveda from abroad also, and they can also understand what is the extent of research now we are doing in this Ayurvedic sector regarding Panchakarma, and especially in India in Podar Hospital itself. So with your permission and permission of the chair, shall I share the screen, sir, ma'am? And we can start with the presentation. Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope it is audio visible to all, and
yeah,
this is full screen also, right?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. So this was actually immunologic and metabolic effects of Basti. Means it is Panchakarma is widely practiced in India and also I think in abroad also. But there was no such a systematic study which was planned before to understand what are the actual systemic effects of these Panchakarmas on the body. Basically, when we see the systemic, we know that what is the effect on dosha, what is the effect of pitta and pitta, vata and kapha, etc. But actually, this was the one of the few projects which actually lay down the way that what might be happening in the body when the panchakarma has been executed on this. Okay. In this actually in this panchakarma setup. So that's why we have planned this. Actually, this project was planned. Just a moment. I think there is some glitch in this. Okay, this was a project which was actually funded by the Prime Minister's Office of Government of India, and the project leader was Dr. M.S. Valyathan. Actually, and the monitoring committee was consist of very much eminent workers from the field of biology, genetics, and even from the biochemistry field. Actually, the project was started with this was a first of all, I think, multi-centric trial encompassing the clinical pharmacological department of KM Hospital by Dr. Thatte Madam was the principal investigator of this project. And Dr. Raman Bhumraekar, who is currently gracing the position of Director of Ayush, was one of the co-investigators from this project. And Dr. Shubhadha Chiplundkar, she has been a Director of ACTREC Navi Mumbai, was also one of the investigators of this project. And Dr. Renika Munshi also played a vital role in this project. I was actually working on the grassroots level of this project, and actually I have seen each and every patient from this project. And that's why I can say that how much difficulty the Panchakarma execution of Panchakarma in a clinical setup and in clinical research setup is really challenging job that these people have done. Actually, this project was actually comprising of 5 studies, basically, that we had Vaman in Tamakshwas patients, Virechan and Kushta. Basti was one of them. Basti was executed in the patients of Staulya. And then we had Nasya in Puran penis patients. And of course, we have done the full course of Panchakarma in Hindi patients as well. So each patient was there in the study nearly about minimum 107 days and maximum for 17 days altogether. The sample size of each group was 30, and total we had actually completed 150 patients, excluding the dropouts for this study. So this was a very challenging task to execute all these processes, but the Basti in Saulya was actually a less challenging thing to do, and that actually exert very good results in metabolic and immunologic parameters as well that I'm going to share with you. As we all know that this is the today's screenshots which I have served from the WHO site, that even today also WHO has described it as a pandemic of obesity. And in the WHO says that in around 2020, it was 1 in 8 people was obese. and that is exerting very fatal conditions for the health of the society. And that is why obesity is termed could be the chronic disease, and it should be very much matter. It must it's not actually taken very seriously. And there are many other modalities also to deal with the obesity problems. We had food quality, we can alter the energy intake, we can have the food quantity, quality also. There are some pharmacotherapeutic measures which we can take for the eradication of obesity. Even there are some bariatric surgery also that people do for getting rid of the obesity. But all these things are very difficult to process, and each one has its individual side effects also. Even some of the drugs may have the suicidal tendency also in the patients. So with this background, we actually thought that even if the Lekhan Basti procedure is so easy and actually doesn't have any safety issues as well. So that was the executed project, and the results are like this. Actually, the obesity, overweight or the obese definition starts from the BMI who has more than 30. So the patients or the obese people, those who have BMI more than 30 were included in the study. And these were the target population for our study. We can see this is now, just now in 2007 or 2008, when we started the study, there was not much awareness about the Panchakarma. In clinical research also, there was no much awareness about Panchakarma trials in India. But now you can see this is a today's screenshot that around 47 lakhs of the, even more than that, the results we can see in a 0.28 seconds also. So many people are working that time. Ayush Research Portal is a dedicated portal of Ayush Mantralaya, which actually registers all the trials, and which we can have ready reference for this different kinds of trial also. So this is now the good scenario for research in India as well. And but the clinical effect of Lekhan Basti on Staulya actually was the project which actually one of the starting projects of this all. So that's why this is worth sharing with you. And of course, the findings which are there still actually we can practice the same on the same lines. So the objectives of the project was actually, the primary objective was to assess the effect of Panchakarma procedure, and that to Basti, on the metabolic and immunological markers in the patients of obesity. And we had a secondary objective of safety also, because the execution of the processes, so many questions were there at that time, that what actually happens to the patients when we have executed so much vigorous processes on the Snehan, Swedan and Basti all together. What would happen to the patient? What would be the safety? Whether there could be any side effects or so, or any sign, what will happen to the quality of life and so on. So all these matters were considered, and those were taken as a secondary objective to evaluate the changes on the clinical signs and symptoms along with the quality of life and safety of the processes also. So with this objective we started. We designed the study actually like this. This was a single arm trial, and it was a prospective trial, and it was done like this. Before, actually, we had a collection of blood and assessment parameters at 3 time points before the study starts, after the procedure is complete, and after 90 days, to see what is the endurance of this processes we have done. After the 90 days, it remains there or not. So all these visits, we had assessment of the patients in terms of Prakruti, and in terms of immunology and metabolic parameters, and of course all the ponderal signs also we had seen, and assessment of signs and symptoms with respect to quality of life questionnaire also we did. The same thing we did just after the procedure is finished, and we had the same assessment again we did, and after 90 days also we had the same assessment to do and to compare. So the parameters that we considered were like this. There are clinical parameters like disease specific, like in Staulya, in Lekhan Basti in Staulya, we had a parameters of Staulya, that is obesity. In metabolic parameters, we have all sets of parameters of hematological parameters, liver function tests, renal function tests, lipids, minerals, carbohydrates, and endocrines also. Even in the immunologic parameter side, we have immunophenotyping, intracellular calcium, ROS, cytokine detection, apoptosis, proliferation assays, activation markers, and some immunoglobulins also. Even we have the circulating cytokine detection also we have done. So this was the set, or actually this was the extent of the project that we are going to see after the patient receives the Panchakarma, what happens to this process, what happens to this markers as well. To understand the definition, the first challenge was to translate the the shlok which was given in the Charak Samhita. The definition we want to keep the scientific crux of the Ayurveda constant, and we had to make this project fit into the setup of the clinical research, where you cannot have the tailor-made approach for which the Ayurveda is famous for. So we had a major challenge to put that how to include the patients and how to have the inclusion common to all. And because treatment is going to be the same for all. So there was actually physician-researcher conflict. But actually we made through. We had this shloka from Charak Samhita that says that Medo Masati Vruddhatva Chalaspi Kudarastanaha Ayathopacha Utsaha Naro Atisula Uchate. So that we considered the weight of the patient, the BMI of the patient, and it would be various measurements were done. The measurements were comprising of subjective as well as objective parameters also. We transformed it into the gradations, and we validated those gradations to understand what actually the changes in those gradations during the course of time would happen. So the protocol was designed keeping in mind that kind of inclusion and exclusion criteria, the safety parameters for the same, the methodology, how will it go, the efficacy assessment, where then just I showed you the metabolic parameters, and even the other assessment parameters were taken into consideration. We actually included the patient who were showing the signs like BMI more than 30 kilogram per meter square, and those who had a West-Fit ratio more than 0.9 in male and more than 1 in female. So that is actually matching with the Mamsa Medo Ati Vruddhi word from the shlok. Then we had a Spixtana Udara Lambanam. For that we had made some gradations were introduced, and a pendular movement of the breast, thighs, abdomen were introduced, and other circumference were taken into consideration, like arm circumference, mid-thigh circumference, and abdominal circumference was also taken into consideration, and which was again the assessment parameter taken. Ayathopacha Utsaha, this is a subject-specific feeling that I'm not feeling good, I'm just feeling lethargic. So how to convert that into the clinical setup, or how to record that? So for that matter, we had some gradations, and we did that gradations also, and that actually worked very well, because patients can relate that how much I was feeling right now previously and how I can feel it right now. So with this inclusion criteria, we started with the project, and of course the exclusion criteria was the conditions where the patients were very serious. They will not actually the morbid type of obese patients who are not fit for the Basti procedures, etc., and other clinical complications patients were excluded from the study. We had the clinical parameters along with the metabolic and immunologic parameters. We had the clinical parameters that comprises of objective parameters like weight, BMI, the West-Fit ratio, upper arm circumference, and abdominal circumference. And we had some Ashto Mahadosh or Ashto Gadaha, the dosha, or subjective feelings like Angachalatva, Alpavivayatva, Kshudra Shwas, Gatrasad, Durgandhya, bad odor, Svedadikya, that is increased sweating, Atipipasa, increased thirst, and Snigdhangata, that is oily and slimy skin. This was actually the subjective as well as objective mixed feeling, but we had gradations for that, and we recorded the responses from the patients for this issue. Then we started the study with actually we included 74 patients in the study, but actually most of them were not ready to complete the full course of Basti after the process, because we had a visits like this, that first Basti will be given for Kala Basti Kram, that comprises of 16 consecutive Bastis will be done, and after the 16th day of Basti is completed, then we will have another 32 days for Dvi Parihar Kal for Basti. That means that is a regimen to be followed after the Basti Karma has been completed, to have the full effect of the Basti Karma done on the patient. So that is actually 49 days were there, and patient did not turn up after the 49 days. So that's why we had only 2 readings of those patients, but the patients completed the Basti course itself. The 32 patients were there in the study, those who completed the 3rd visit also. That means after the 90 days from the last visit also they completed. And those sets of patients were 32 that we had. And this clinical assessment was done before and immediately after the procedure and after 90 days of the procedure. The Lekhan Basti we did with the help of Trifala Kadha, Gomutra, that is cow's urine, honey, oil, and sesame oil, and we had an emulsion of this in the state of Basti, and we had this Anuvasan and Asthapan Basti. Anuvasan Basti is to be given at the starting, and at the last 3 numbers of the Basti was Anuvasan Basti, which is only 240 ml of sesame oil. And then we had Asthapan Basti, which was actually a preparation which was from Triphala Kada, that is gomutra, cow's urine, honey, and oil. So mixing and sendha also, that is rock salt. So we had this preparation together. We had an emulsified manner into the decoction, and we given this enemas of this kadha and tail alternatively to these patients for consecutively 16 days. During the whole course of Basti, there was no adverse event to any patient, and patient could take the Basti very easily, and the feeling was very good. That will be coming in the further slides. The effect on Basti, that is on the clinical parameters, we are starting with, we are getting to the results of the parameters. That is, effect on the weight was seen that we had the decrease in the weight by around mean by 4 kgs. So initially we started with the mean of 85 kgs of the patients, and then we ended up on the visit 2 by up to, there was reduction of mean reduction of by 4 kgs of the weight. And even the same effect was continued for more than 90 days also. That was the main creditable part of this project, that even the effect that was that were exerted by the Basti procedure could last long up to the 90 days or after 3 months of the process has been completed. So this was the effect on the weight was, which was the major factor of the project, that we could have the positive results on this, and even mean by mean 4 kgs the weight could have been reduced from by all the patients, we can say. After this weight, the other effect was one BMI. There is no much changes in the numbers, but BMI is actually a ratio. So, but it was also having the significance in the second visit. It has slightly reduced from 93 to 16, and the effect was also consistent up to the visit of 90 days after the at the third visit also. After this BMI, we had measured the upper arm circumference, and upper arm circumference also showed the reduction by mean 2 to 3 centimeters, and it was, the effect was also lasting till the 90 days of the process has been completed. On in case of the abdominal circumference, there was a significance reduction from the abdominal circumference from 109 centimeters to the 103 centimeters, and the effect was also even the persistent at the 90 days of the treatment, after the 90 days of the treatment procedure was done. So that was the actually we can say the something which is called as the inches loss was actually we could see in the as an effect of Basti in this clinical parameters. After this clinical parameters, we will move on to the effect on symptoms of obesity, that where gradations were introduced, and these were 8 gradations. Alpha-Vivai, that is loss of libido, was experienced by 9 patients at the beginning of the study, and that was actually reduced to 1. And the effect was also continued till the third visit or the 90th day also. In case of Kshudrasvas, that is dyspnea, that 30 of the 30 patients, 32 out of 30 patients were experiencing this, and the effect was actually good, and only 14 patients could have this symptoms at the second visit, and which was the same continued to the third visit also. In case of Gatrasad, that is fatigue or lethargic activity or lethargic feeling, we had around 28 individuals with us at the beginning, which the number has been reduced to 8 individuals after the study has been completed. In case of Daurgandha, that is bad odor, it was presented by 21 patients, which was reduced to 9 patients only after the study was completed. Svedaditya, that is increased perspiration, which is a main many times obese patients come with. So this was actually 30 patients were showing this symptom, but at the end of the study, there were only 9 patients who were experiencing this symptoms. After this, there is a lakshan called as ati pipasa or increased thirst. So at the beginning, 24 patients were experiencing the same, but at the end of the study, there were only 6 patients which were exhibiting this kind of a symptom. Snigdhangata, that is oily skin, slimy skin. So 19 patients were originally showing these symptoms, but at the end of the visit or end of the study, there were only 4 patients which were showing this showing this effect, and this effect was lasting up to 90 days. That was the main finding from the study. Anga Chalatva, that is pendular movement of organ, was actually observed by all the patients, by 30 patients altogether, but it was not so much reduced because that will take more kgs to get reduced. So there were 25 patients left at the end of the study with the pendular movement of the organ. So that was the symptomatic part or the symptoms of the obesity are Ashto Mahadoshakar things, which were considered for the as a Sthaulya marker from Ayurvedic text and which was translated into the measurable things with the help of gradations. After this clinical setup, let us go to the metabolic effect of the Lekhan Basti, what it has actually. Metabolic parameters were like this: CBC, HB, LFT, RFT, lipid profile, minerals, insulins, etc. So there were many markers which were studied with the help of the protocols which was laid down for keeping the processes constant throughout the process. The outcome was that there were much changes from all the parameters, but there are some parameters which could show the changes constructively, where the serum insulin, which was the main factor behind the obesity causing things, so it was actually reduced from 17 to it was 15, and it was the reduction was significant, and which was lasted to the third visit also. Serum calcium level has also been seen to be increased, but this effect was not consistent. It was again started to drop after this. Serum ferritin was 36 something, and there was a mean decrease of around 8%, 8 milligrams, nanograms per ml, and it was a significant reduction. And even that reduction was actually somewhat maintained at the end of third visit also. In case of serum cortisol, there was a much more significant decrease which we could observe in the second visit as well as in the third visit also. The rest of the parameters were normal, but you can see this serum insulin resistance is a main factor behind the obesity and the detrimental effect of the obesity, right? So insulin resistance causes so many other effects on the other parameters also. Insulin resistance is that circulating glucose is not available to the intracellular to the cells as well. This insulin resistance was actually we can see that in the findings of the Basti, we could see that serum insulin was really decreased, and probably that would be a good sign that it may take care of the root cause of the obesity. In case of serum calcium, I could say there is a relation between the serum calcium level and the obesity also. So that we can see the effect of when we had a clinically the reduction in the symptom signs were seen. The serum calcium level also shows some effect on this. Serum ferritin is increased in the case of obesity, probably. That is because of the obesity is considered as a complete chronic state of inflammation, like in which serum ferritin might have increased. But in our study, we could find that serum ferritin could decrease, and it was a good marker considered as a beneficial effect of the Basti. In case of serum cortisol, we need not say that serum cortisol could be having a stress hormone or the stress factor which is seen in the human body on the patients of obesity, which was reduced after the course of Basti to the significant level, and the effect was persistent. So that could be having the feeling of good or the quality of life of the patient could have been increased when there is a feeling when there is a somewhat is a good feeling, or the stressful effect of the obesity disease has been, or the burden of that disease has been little bit reduced by this procedure. This was about the insulin resistance, and after this I would quote that there was no other clinically significant change was observed at all, and on the hematological parameters as well as for the liver function test, on the renal function test, and any other variables of lipid metabolism after the course of Basti was actually introduced. And these findings are clear indications of the safety of the Basti procedure, that Basti procedure can be safely administered to all. Of course, we had some variations according to the age and according to the processes of the Basti liquid, but these are very safe processes. We can actually prove it. After this, there was some tricky part was immunological parameters. Immunological parameters are difficult to understand, and actually they are very volatile. They changes easily. But in this study, we had some inflammatory markers were reduced, or inflammatory markers were seen to be reduced. Even the reactive oxygen species has been changed in this processes by the process of Basti. So we had immunophenotyping, we had intracellular calcium release, ROS measurement we had done, some lymphocyte proliferation assays we have done, and there are some cytokines and immunoglobulins also estimation we had done, and even the cytotoxicity of the lymphocytes. There were no much changes was seen, and why we have seen this kind of a changes is that adipocyte, or the adipocyte which is storing the fat, has various hormones to secrete. And this adipocytes also functions as a reservoir of many other enzymes or many other hormones which are leading to the morbidity of the obesity state. Even a adipocyte can secrete actually adiponectin, leptin, which are responsible for the androgen deficiency. Other many things the adipocyte can secrete, which is a precipitating factor for the atherosclerosis, type 2 diabetes, dyslipidemia, inflammation, hypertension, and thrombosis. So all this matters actually because of the hypertrophy of the adipocyte, which is the main factor of the obesity. So obesity is like adipocyte if it is this is the which is in the storing the fats, then they will secrete all these things, and all these hormones or the enzymes will lead to various effects. So it was seen in and it circulates some inflammatory cytokines also. None other than this. After that, we didn't have any other effect on some other markers except these markers. That is, IFN gamma was found to be reduced, which was one of the inflammatory markers. So it is the saying that obesity is a continuous state of inflammation, a chronic state of inflammation, was actually seen to be reducing by this study. IL-6 was actually found to be reduced, which is also an inflammatory cytokine. IL-1 has no much benefit, no much effect on this, and it was not so concluding statement was then, but it was modulated by the effect of Basti. IL-8 again, it was an inflammatory cytokine which was found to be reduced after the course of Basti. There were no other significant change were found in TNF-alpha, IL-4 or IL-10 were noted in this particular study. But the circulating cytokines, that is, or markers of the inflammation, were found to be modulated by this effect of by this Basti therapy. At the immunoglobulin levels, we can find that the IgM level is found slightly increased, and it was actually restored at the end of the third visit. IgG was found to be reduced, which was not significant, but it was significantly reduced at the 98th day, that is the visit 3 only. And it was a change in immunoglobulin modulation can be done with the help of Basti. That was the message by the things. And even it was in case of the reactive oxygen species, we had the increased period over a period of 45 minutes in S2, which was not restored to the visit 3 only. And calcium reflux was at 20 seconds at S2, but it was at the 30 seconds in S3, which was found at this parameters. So actually we had again after these were the parameters which we can see being modulated by the Basti therapy. But what would have actually happened is that the Samprapti of Charak Samhita comprises of all of them. There were many articles on this on the internet also, that how a Basti could have worked on this and so on. But the main thing is that the Basti is considered to be like a root cause of many diseases. If you have removed the root cause, the branches of the disease would not have been there in the body. It was a famous saying by Charaka and Sushruta also. So Basti works on basically Pakvashayagat Vayu, and this Pakvashayagat Vayu helps reduce the purgation therapy, purgation like evacuation reflexes in the body, and that would lead to Agni Vruddhi Ashay Laghav. And what we have seen just now, right now, that is immunological parameters is changing, metabolic parameters are changing. These are all Ashay Laghav, the Saujna Ashay Laghav probably would have coincides with all these things. Agni Vruddhi, that is the Agni is of many types. Agni, the word is many, had a broad umbrella under. So, but we can see that this Shloka of Charak Samhita probably explains how the Basti is working on that, and what has actually Basti done on the molecular level or on the metabolic level on the immunological markers that were evident by this study on this. For this, we have another many publications that we have seen after this. We have done for the proof of efficacy, for the proof of our concept, is that there were few studies by one study is by S.S. Savrikar and C.E. Lagad was there, that they prepared the Madhutalik Basti preparation and they standardized the whole process and they standardized the liquid of the Basti, and they could find that the emulsion, this is a emulsion oil and water emulsion is there, and which is good for and it can be stable for 24 hours if the honey is used for this preparation of Madhutalik Basti. And after that, there was an experimental study to evaluate the pharmacokinetic aspect of the Likhan Basti. which was by Swapnil Auti sir and B. Ravi Shankar sir. They actually had a marker of gallic acid from the Triphala Kana. They have given the Triphaladi Kada Basti to some rats, and they found that the marker in the blood is gallic acid, which is found there. So it is actually evident that the whatever the factors we have given by the Basti are actually reaching the blood. The absorption by the Basti procedure is done over there. So that was a proof of concept study. You can also go on the net and find out the same. After this, we had the very good article by Dr. Shukla sir and by Dr. Thakkar sir and Pandey madam, that they have actually given these different aspects that how could have Basti helped in this mechanism. How could this Basti would have helped? The first is by the absorption mechanism, that the whatever you have giving the emulsion kind of oil in water emulsion. So it is absorbed from the from the gut and from the lumen of the gut. The first thing is that, so probably that could be the there, and that is also the part is very much innervated. So all this absorption we are giving in the medium of oil and water. So it is easy for it to get absorbed from the gut itself. And by the system biology concept, this is a different concept. This is a newer concept, that all organs are connected with each other, and if we do something to one organ, the other organ will also get benefited or de-benefited by this. So this was a system biology concept which they gave, that Basti could have been having the effect on the Pakvashay, but actually it will be have benefiting the other parts of the body, other mechanisms of the body, which is actually like we have working on the Pakvashay, and we have other types of vayu which are getting corrected by acting on the Pakvashayagat Vat. So this was a system biology concept they offered, and we also feel that that could be the reason or one of the factor that how the Basti is working. After that, probably there is a neural stimulation mechanism also in place. The way we have another brain, that is a we can say in the gut, the enteric brain also is there. So it is in the correlation with the CNS also. So it is very important to have the well-being of that neural stimulation of the gut also. So that is probably the mechanism that Basti would be working on, that enteric brain or the enteric plexus. So it would be because of that stimulation, probably the effect of Basti would have been there. And of course, by the excretory mechanism, that Basti exerts the evacuatory reflexes on the intestines, and that's why probably the excretory material is out, and then we can have the good sort of feeling, or the things which are given by the Basti would get absorbed into the body. So these are probably the mechanisms by which Basti would have acted. But the thing is that in whatever way the Basti had shown the effect, and that was evident by this project, and even the work is going on, even the other things will be going on, but there could be many other parameters which could have been taken into consideration. But at that time, that was the parameters which were available and which were very we can say materialistic, that were considered into the study. But other than this, there were no much changes into the body parameters, and except from the clinical parameters as well. That was actually says that Basti is a safe procedure, and it is a very effective procedure. And over the other modalities of treatment of obesity, this 16 days Basti course would have been a beneficial effect in many terms. It is economical also, it is very safe also, and anybody can take it. And there is no much infrastructure involved in this thing also. Simply by having some rules and regulations and having this Basti may help to treat the obesity in certain cases. So that would be the even we can say a good answer to the pandemic like obesity in the body, in the society, sorry. So that's why we can have this Basti treatment, and this was the proof that Lekhan Basti may help in the treatment of obesity to a certain extent, and definitely it will work. And what effect does it exert? That is the answer to this question. So I think thank you with this by this topic from this topic. I'm so thankful to the organizers for giving me the opportunity to present this topic again in this August platform. And if you have any questions, that would be welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much. It was amazing. Excellent
Thank you.
webinar and great research study. Very
Yes,
helpful
ma'am.
for people. Yeah, for everybody. Is there anyone who have any questions? About this research study or overall related to Basti?
There is Dr. Supriya Bhalera, madam. She was again also a major contributor of this project. And actually, she was there as a part of the project itself. And the article which is published on this topic was a major contribution by her. And she is there in the meeting also.
Wonderful. Thank you. Namaste, Bhalerao madam. So nice to have you. It seems like there are no questions. I'm just having, one question. It's regarding any other interventions regarding diet and lifestyle changes or any internal herbs. So all of these, these subjects who actually underwent Basti, did they follow any of these things, like making any changes in their diet, lifestyle, or taking any herbs or medicines internally? Or it was only Basti that was advocated?
Yes, madam. That was the only intervention that we had was only Basti, that is Lekhan Basti, for those patients. And as I said, there was something called as a Viparihar. That means the days for you are taking the Basti, double those days you have to follow some restrictions. That is called as a Viparihar. For that, after the process of Basti, one has to follow that to have the complete effect of the Basti. During that regimen, we have asked the patients not to have the strenuous exercise. Just they were on some healthy food diet, homemade food, and they were not supposed to walk very fast, talk very fast, even have some strenuous exercises. Only household measures they could do their job, and even not. But the one thing we had told them, not to have the food from outside, and even they could have the home food which was cooked. Whatever they cook in the home, they can have that. And some in initial days they may have some khichdi like diet in their meals, so that will increase their appetite also after the process was completed. That was the only thing that we expected from the patient. Otherwise, there was no much restriction on the patients were imposed, and even no other intervention was there for the patients.
Beautiful, beautiful. Excellent study.
I had a
Hello,
question.
Aditi.
Yeah, I
Yes,
had a
ma'am?
question over here. This is Dr. Renee Mehra.
Namaste, Rini.
Hi, namaskar. So I don't think we can administer Basti in the US to its full potential. So probably we can do something like daily detox programs for clients, like we're talking about khichdi or simple diet that may include some herbs, but not fully like a Basti over here. So what would you recommend?
No, actually, the point is regarding the effect of Basti only. The whatever, ma'am, you are talking about the diet, these are the main things behind the modulation of the course of the obesity. But it would take time. I am actually expressing that even after 16 days of Basti, even you had a tremendous results in inches loss in the weight in the kg also. So it is there to modulate their diet and everything. But the effect of Basti is to be stressed here. So probably there is no other comparison Basti to have this effect in so much less time, I feel.
Namaskar, Dr. Aditi. I have a question. The recent studies have shown that there is a relation of gut microbiome with the
Yes.
metabolic syndrome.
Yes.
Do you
yes,
think
yes.
Basti can affect on gut microbiomes?
Of course, sir. I think it has. Just a moment. Of course, it has. There is one paper I could suggest that there is a bacterial flora that which consists of vitamin. There is some gut microbial flora is also there, which was taken care by the Basti, by the evacuation process, probably by the system or the we can say the solubility of the Basti processes, Basti liquids or something like that. But actually, the good microbial flora would increase after the Basti is the postulation. Probably next few studies may come upon by that process also, on that mechanism also.
So don't you think even in your project, it could be an effect of your Basti on microbiomes? What could be the
Certainly.
pharmacological effect?
But we wouldn't have considered any parameters to denote that. So I'm saying that probably that could be the effect. One of the effect will be also there, but there was no other parameter which was consisting in this project. But I feel that what you are saying is right. The Basti can alter the gut microbial flora is also there, and I have read one article also on the internet which supports the same claim.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Ma'am, you are muted.
Sorry. Yeah, no, thank you so much for excellent webinar. It's absolutely amazing. And as Rini ji was saying, it's really difficult, here in the US to use these busties. I mean, the client can take it on their own, but we cannot administer here because of the regulations. I really hope that the things change in the future.
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt you, but I would like to say that one of the investigators after Bhalira Madam, Shubhra Chudurkar Madam is also there, which she was the principal, one of the investigators from the, when I just said that she was from the director of the ECTRIC Institute. She had done all these studies. And for that, if you allow, can I ask ma'am to just contribute to this webinar, madam?
Absolutely. It will be
Yes.
wonderful.
Aditi, nice presentation.
Thank you, madam.
Can you hear me? Can you?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. It's very nice to that you were there in this presentation, madam.
Yeah, but I joined very late, almost when it got over. But yes, we had looked at all the immunological aspects, and as the question was raised, we are now looking into the gut microbiome, and it is going to play an important role because these species of bacteria, which you rightly said, the good bacteria which come up. So we are doing such sort of, we've just initiated this sort of thought process, and we may write up a project on that.
Yes, madam. Yes, madam.
But it was wonderful working with you. It was a good teamwork.
Yes, madam. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. So this webinar is getting recorded and it will be actually uploaded to our CAR YouTube channel. So please watch and subscribe to our CAR Council for Ayurveda Research YouTube channel to view our earlier webinars also, as well as this webinar and other presentations. Please like, comment, and share the videos. And once again, I invite you everybody to become a member and also fill out our volunteer form. You can now also subscribe to the IU update. So that is the newsletter that goes in order to stay tuned with our projects and events. And if you have any questions, please feel free. You can always email us at ayurvedaresearchusa@gmail.com or asavari@mnayurveda.com. Thank you so much for attending webinar. Thank you everybody for being so wonderful listeners, and thank you so much Aditi madam, Shubhada madam, and also Supriya madam.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You'll definitely become a member, and I'd like to see the presentation.
Sure, ma'am. Definitely. I would be again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Good night.